I didn't know if we were going to find anybody, and it was within 3 days we got an email from him. And he was excited, and he wanted it back, and so that was definitely the coolest part.
They said that they would love to have their dog tag back, so we pulled it from our collection.
For months, Anna Williams and Duane Copeland have been waiting for this moment, the day they get to ship out a dog tag to the veteran who lost it.
It's been 10 years since he was last contacted by the TOP program.
They're both veterans and University of Arizona students, as well as members of the UA Veterans Education and Transition Services, or VETS, program.
So I was an Army veteran. I served 4.5 years. I was an aviation operations specialist, so flight plans, flight records.
I had 12 years in the Army Reserves. 4 years of that were on active duty. I was a medical laboratory technician, mostly doing blood drives in support of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
In the military, service becomes a core value. And then all of a sudden you're back in the civilian world, and people don't really, as a society, we don't really think about service very much. So they go from this place where it's really, really important to me. So we find that one of the things that helps student veterans adjust to college and be involved in college life is to do these service projects. And so we have a number of them, one of which is the TOPS program.
So in addition to just searching for the new cases, I came up with
TOP, or Tours of Peace, started in 1998 as a nonprofit dedicated to helping Vietnam veterans. One element of TOP's mission was returning dog tags and other personal effects to veterans and their families. When the nonprofit dissolved last year, it found a new home in the VETS program.
Doc and I, over the winter, did some emailing back and forth, and
That's how Anna, Duane, and 6 other student veterans became the stewards of more than 2,000 personal effects recovered in Vietnam in the decades since the Vietnam War.
Initially, it was just sorting out and figuring out what we had.
That involved us making sure all the files were accurate, going through and seeing if addresses were up to date, and then resending out letters so that we can return the dog tags to the veteran or their family members.
The people that had already been contacted had been more than 10 years. And so we wanted to just reach out again and, hopefully get somebody.
We've used Ancestry.com, we've used Google searches, Facebook.
And with the Ancestry, if you can't, for whatever reason, they don't want to do some kind of deal with us, then... So then the next step is to really the research part of the people who haven't been found yet, and that's going to be next semester's project.
The project's future is uncertain. There aren't many resources to keep it going, and it's hard to balance the detective work of reuniting lost dog tags with veterans or their families and the responsibilities of student life.
These are full-time students, so they have that. And if you know anything about the veteran community, most of them are married, they have children, so they have a lot of other things going on.
Instead of getting who they were.
Class schedule, work, family, so trying to get all of that in, and then, oh yeah, this project. That's definitely a struggle for me. That's the horse of a different color.
But the student veterans who've taken this on know better than most that these dog tags represent whole lives. People who were killed in the Vietnam War or whose lives were forever changed by it. That knowledge compels them to keep trying.
All the adult men that I grew up with were Vietnam veterans. My dad is, my step-uncle and their friends were all Vietnam veterans. I feel a connection through that and kind of doing it for them. When they came home, they were treated horribly. My dad especially, he doesn't talk about it. They had a hard time with it, with how they were treated coming back, and it's not that they talked about it all the time, but you could tell that there was definitely hard feelings, and just letting them know that we were thankful for them and giving them the respect that they deserved.
These aren't just little pieces of metal. They're important, certainly important to me. About 40 years ago, I met with 50 Vietnam veterans. This is before PTSD was a thing. It was called delayed stress back then. And so I put on a workshop in western Montana where I practiced at the time. And I explained to them what I knew. This thing's called delayed stress. You're not crazy. This is what happens to people that have gone through what you've gone through. So at the end of the day, they said, would you be willing to go to war with us and for us? And I mean, what the hell do you say to 50 guys that say that? So this project for me is fulfilling a promise. That's my passion about this. I honor my promise to those guys.